Mario Kart, one of the most popular video game series of all time. You'd be hard-pressed to find a game that can simultaneously unite, yet divide a group of people just within an hour of playing the goddamn game. Like, no joke, about a week ago, I was hanging out with my little sister and her son at a nerd convention. We walked past the gaming section of the con and we saw Mario Kart 64. My 6-year-old nephew and my little sister both excitedly grabbed the controllers and started their first race. Folks, it was a sight to behold. Now, my sister is not a hardcore gamer, but my nephew is, though the kid has never played Mario Kart 64 before. Perhaps an even match? Well, both of them took to the game like a fish to water, until that fish turned into a bloodthirsty piranha. Mom, stop! Slow down! You're cheating! That's not fair! Eat my dust, son! Oh, it was glorious! My nephew got his butt kicked, even with my sister only using 10% of her total power level. Needless to say, I was proud that day. Put that little stupid FNAF fan in his place. I love you, my nephew. Also, the entire race reminded me how accessible and alluring, yet competitive a game like Mario Kart can be. And that popularity has unsurprisingly led to other games trying to imitate the franchise's success. Games such as Warped Kart Racers.
I love this game. The audacity. There you go, that's the spirit. I love today.
Listen, there's no denying that this game is a clone of Mario Kart, right down to the heat-seeking turtles. But the presence of King of the Hill in this game definitely caught my attention. Now, for those who don't know, I am a massive King of the Hill fan, and there was only ever one video game made based on the series, which was an interesting game to say the least. To be fair, King of the Hill never needed video game adaptations, but seeing it featured in Warped Kart Racers was an unexpected surprise, especially since the series itself concluded back in 2009 and has been dormant ever since. Though there are rumors of a reboot series in the works, which is, I don't know, I've got mixed feelings over that. I digress. Now, Warped Kart Racers is relatively new and was released exclusively on the Apple Arcade back in May of 2022. It was developed by Electric Square and features 4 adult cartoons from 20th Century Studios: King of the Hill, Family Guy, American Dad, and Solar Opposites. Yeah, I don't know much about that show. I really don't. I might need to look into it. All I know is that it seems like it's a Rick and Morty clone. I'd have no burning desire to watch it. Hulu tweeted me to watch it, so I kind of don't want to now, unless they pay me. I'm conflicted.
Oh, don't throw that out. I can sell it.
It has an unstable gray hole inside.
You're an unstable gray hole.
Nice.
Regardless, my interest in this racing game was piqued mainly due to King of the Hill. I wanted to see how Warped Kart Racers would utilize Hank's expanded universe. Would Bobby drop a banana peel on Stewie Griffin while screaming, "That's my purse! I don't know you!" The fact that that scenario could happen was enough to grab my attention. So let's take a closer look at Warped Kart Racers. Hell, maybe the game might be good after all, but I'm not holding my breath. So, like I already said, Warped Kart Racers was developed by the studio Electric Square. Located in England, that's as specific as I'm gonna get, the studio has been involved in the gaming industry since 2015 and has collaborated on titles such as Battlefield 2042, the Assassin's Creed series on the Oculus, and quite a few other racing titles, with Warped Kart Racers being its most recent entry. Now, from the looks of it, 20th Century Studios, which is owned by Disney, hired Electric Square to put its IP to work. Take the aesthetic and flair of these shows and apply it to a racing game. Boom. Mission accomplished. Though I'm sure that many of you right now are probably thinking, where the hell are the Simpsons? Well, it turns out that the Simpsons are currently under license by EA, so that's why they aren't in this game. Yeah, EA just continuing to ruin things, even passively. Though I do find it odd that Bob's Burgers and Futurama aren't in this game. As far as I could tell from my research, both of those IPs belong to Disney and legally could be in the game. Perhaps DLC in the future? Who can say? Now, like I said before, Warp Kart Racers is exclusive to Apple Arcade, so the game can only be played on Apple devices. For those who don't know, Apple Arcade is a subscription service that gives you access to a library of a few hundred games on iPhone, iPad, and Mac OS for $5 a month. Notably, in order for a game to be offered on Apple Arcade, the game cannot include any in-app purchases. So games that may be also offered outside the service have to remove them in their Apple Arcade version. Now, Apple Arcade is nice, that it offers a catalog of titles that won't manipulate their players with predatory monetization schemes like so many other typical mobile games out there. As Tom and I mentioned in our What's Ruining Mobile Games video from a few months ago. Oh, has it been a year almost? Wow, time flies. But since that's the backbone of the business model for these kinds of games, many of the most popular mobile games aren't on the service. And as a result, the few games that end up behind that paywall can face blowback for not being as easily accessible. It's a double-edged sword, and personally, for me, I would not have played Warp Kart Racers if it wasn't for Tom already having access to Apple Arcade. So take that for what it's worth. And judging by the comments on the trailer video for the game on YouTube, I am not alone in that sentiment. Hey Lois, look, I'm behind a paywall. I'm not good at Peter Griffin impersonations. I'm going to go die now.
Gee, I don't...
Peter, I've taken the liberty of mocking up some sales projections.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And this would be our net profits.
Yikes.
So, what's the game about? Well, it's a lesser version of Mario Kart, but with characters from these 4 adult cartoons, and that's about it. It's a clone. It's just a clone of Mario Kart, through and through. Everything from the mechanics to the items are one-for-one Mario Kart. Shameless, but hardly the first. Though this game does nothing to carve out an identity of its own beyond the characters you can play as. Each show has its own unique set of racers, with some of them you have to unlock through achievements and leveling up. King of the Hill has Hank, Bobby, Dale, Luann, Peggy. Family Guy has Peter, Lois, Brian, Stewie. I think it's Meg. American Dad has its cast, and then I'm not even going to try and recount what's going on with Solar Opposites. I have not watched it. I'll be real though, I only play as Hank. He's my main. Bring it. There's also a bunch of cosmetic upgrades you can unlock and customize with sprays and skins and whatnot. The character models themselves look fine. The carts, the maps, based on each respective show, the cosmetics, they get the job done. Though I was curious about the voice acting for the game. Would it be unique? Would it be reused? It's reused. Reused lines from the shows, the movies, which I gotta say, the voice lines, because they are reused, can come across as a bit inconsistent at times. Like you have Hank here with his lines, with some of them being very audibly clear, and then other ones from season 1 of King of the Hill, and those lines are a lot more scratchy and not as clear, inconsistencies like that, but it's forgivable. Like, I'll tell you, I'd rather have the game reuse lines than have voice actors try and mimic those characters. And let's be honest, we're not gonna get the original voice actors to show up for a mobile game, so reusing lines, if that's the best we're gonna get, so be it. Also, the character animations are mostly all stock, which is weird when someone like Hank Hill, who is in his show Reserved and Collected, whoops and pumps his fist around after throwing a turtle at Stewie Griffin. The game mechanics are pretty straightforward. All of the default characters available at least play exactly the same. The only differences are cosmetic. But simplicity makes sense though, considering it's primarily a mobile game, where controls need to be streamlined and sessions usually only last a handful of minutes. But that's also kind of its biggest weakness, though. Being a simple, inoffensive clone of Mario with its only differentiating factor being able to drive as Hank Hill means it's a hard sell to pay $5 a month to access it, especially when there are tons of other kart racers on iOS, including Mario Kart Tour. Also, Android users don't even have access or an option to play Warp Kart Racers because it's Android. These other kart racing alternatives are packed with microtransactions, which can be a huge detriment to progression and overall enjoyment. But Warp Kart Racers has a lot of its characters and cosmetics locked behind its own grind. While there aren't any options to pay to get them faster, it certainly feels like a mobile game economy. Like, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if this game is a timed exclusive on Apple Arcade and later launches properly on iPhone and Android with a traditional IAP monetization scheme laid on top. Because let's be honest, folks, in the end, pay to win always wins. This video is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Not really. Never. Unless...
Look at yourself, you filthy whore. Ugh. I don't even want this now.
In conclusion, Warp Kart Racers is ultimately a harmless Mario Kart clone that utilizes the branding and flair of Family Guy, American Dad, King of the Hill, and other. Now, does it knock my socks off? No. But is it some egregious crime against humanity? Well, that remains to be seen. Will they introduce a game mode where you can run Brian over with a race car to see who can get the highest score? Well, damn, now I want to play the game. As an animation fan, the theming of the game was enough to grab my attention. But it being exclusive on the Apple Arcade was a potential barrier that could have been the end of me seeking it out. Again, if it wasn't for Tom having access to the Apple Arcade, that would have been the case, since I don't have a burning desire to use Apple's gaming service. I don't have an iPhone, and none of the games on the arcade wow me enough to go, oh boy, I gotta get that. But for what it's worth, Warp Kart Racers held my attention for a few hours. I took in the scenery, chewed on the game mechanics, goofed around with the characters, absorbed the references to each respective show, but after that, I was bored, and I was ready to put the game down. For the folks who want to kill some time on their iPhone, I can see this game scratching that itch. But it's quite bare bones, and it doesn't get too creative with the IPs at its disposal, which is forgivable. For me to expect Mario Kart levels of detail and quality would be silly, and if I wanted that from a game, well, I should just play Mario Kart instead, which is precisely my advice to you all. So if you want to play as Hank Hill, driving his lawnmower, throwing turtle shells at Peter Griffin, then give this game a shot. But don't expect it to go much further beyond that. But if you played the game, let me know what you all think down in the comments. Look, I am legit to hear feedback from people who have played this, and you know what? Maybe we can race each other. I can smoke you as Hank, and I don't mean smoked meats, I mean smoking you with my lawnmower on the track. Let's go. I tell you what.